Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Blake Oliwelt, and in this video, we're going to cover December's budget, what worked, what didn't, and where we saved more than we expected. Today is a big one because we're closing out 2025, wrapping up one heck of a year, as well as getting ready for a 2026 financial reset that could set the tone for the entire year. Now, this year has been intense with rising costs, layoffs in some industries, and a lot of people reevaluating how they handle money. And speaking of which, for those of you who have been following along, we just hit day 67 of our savings challenge where I am saving $100 every day to buy my wife a new car in cash. No debt and no stress from monthly payments. Every day we've been depositing $100 into our Fidelity brokerage account, parked safely in SPACs, a money market fund, stacking the goal towards buying her that new car, hopefully by her birthday in March 1st. So subscribe and follow along to see if we can make that happen since we don't really have much time left. So if you've ever wondered how to close out a year financially and not just financially survive every month, we'll cover that in this video. Let's dive into December and see what happened. Okay, I use Monarch Money to budget our finances here at the house as everything is automated. It just comes in, so I'm not tracking down everything from all a bunch of different statements. So if you're interested in automating your budgeting as well, I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can get 50% off your first year. And it comes out to like $4 a month or so. Totally worth it. Okay, so also let me know, do you guys like the light mode or do you like the dark mode? Dark mode's a little easier on the eyes, this early in the morning, but we can go through light mode as that's what we normally do anyway. Okay, so now that we have our budget in front of us, we're going to start right at the top. We want to start with income, what money comes in before we cover what money goes out. So income for December, we ended up getting the end of year bonus. It doesn't happen every year and it varies, so I don't like to plan for it. So if it comes in, great, and we kind of just adjust for it as it comes in. So as for paychecks, we ended up getting the budget on top of our normal paycheck. Business income, we ended up having a little bit left over, which is pretty common at the end of year. I like to set a percentage of the revenue that comes into the businesses and move that over every month on the first to the personal side to kind of as a treat, keep you motivated, saying, hey, the business is making money, so we're making money. So we set a percentage, and if there's anything left over that doesn't necessarily need to be in the operating budget for the following year, we pull it out. So we ended up pulling out, I think it was like $10,000 for this one. So we pulled that out. So that's why you see the business income is a little higher than normal. And then some other income, we end up selling some more stuff on Facebook Marketplace. So we went ahead and added that in. So the biggest expense for everyone is usually our housing expense. So we own our own house here. So our mortgage came out and it's $2,142. Home insurance, we like to plan this annually. Usually when you pay for the whole year, you get a pretty sizable discount, it's like 10%. And our home insurance is usually around $3,000 a year. So I budget around $300. So at the end of 12 months, we'll have $3,600. If it's a little high, that's great. We have the room in the budget. And if it comes in low, and we usually use a broker, so just comment down below if you want him. He is fully covered in all 50 states. So he can help you. He's saved us thousands of dollars on our home insurance. So we budget that here. I like to use this rollover fund. So you'll see every month this $300 comes in, pulls in from last month, adds this month, and keeps going. So that way we're not kind of shocked by that expense come July. Gas, electric, it's the winter, so we don't have as much cost here for air conditioning, more of heating. Gas is a little cheaper in our area. Water expense came in, it's around normal. Home improvement, this is where I like to stick a couple $100 each month. I think we had $150, $200, and then we just started getting issue after issue. So if you've seen the videos from October and November, you'll see that we just had little things pop up. It was water heater repair. It was the HVAC system. Then we had some plumbing issues we've been dealing with. So it's just been eating out of this little sinking fund. And so I put $500 here. I'll probably carry that in just so that fund builds up a bit more in case something bigger happens. So you'll see as of the end of December 2025, we have $1,631 that'll be into this rolling into January 2026. Makes us feel a little better. That's a buffer. And then I budget pest control. It comes out bi-monthly for whatever reason they bill that way. So I like to make it a monthly expense. So I make $67 each month and it comes out to like $127 every other month. Kind of annoying, but we try to automate it and flatten out that expense monthly. Then usually comes your second largest expense. This is auto, it's our cars. So auto insurance, $200 to add that up. Yet again, another insurance that comes out, we try to pay annually. So I budget 200 a month, 150 to 200, just in case it's a little higher. Since I am buying my wife a new car, this will go up. So I'm kind of planning on it. I'm going to increase it probably to keep this 200. And then come July, if it's a little more, we'll have room in the budget. And then auto maintenance here is another one. If you watched, I think the September or October video, you saw that right at the end of the month, as we're getting ready to close it out, my car had an issue and it ends up being like $1,800. So we had that sneak up on us. So $150 every month. We could even increase this. I'm pretty comfortable with where it's at. Right now, we have $891 rolling over to January. Vehicle registration, another one of those annual expenses that tends to sneak up on us. So come July or August, whenever those come in, they usually tell you, say, hey, you owe so much money. So I went ahead and put $80 here. We'll see how much it comes out. But that way we at least have a couple $100 moving over each month so we can pay for the cars and register them for the following year. And then we used up a little bit of gas. I filled up my wife's car before she left for the morning. Groceries came in a lot lower than expected. Since we go on vacation, one thing I like to do, and you'll see later in this budget, is if we are traveling and we are either eating groceries or eating out, which is usually the case, I just move that all to a travel expense. Yes, we would have bought groceries. Yes, we probably would have eaten out, usually just not to the frequency of when we're on vacation. So I like to keep that all separate. Any food, any gas, any snacks that we buy is all in the travel and vacation budget. Even though we may have used it in the food budget as well, I just go ahead and move over to travel. I like to see kind of what the total cost would be for just being on vacation, and I don't want to divide everything out. So $443 is what we spent. We usually budget $500 to $600, sometimes a little higher depending on the month, but $443 was actually charged to the card. Restaurants, we didn't go out to eat as much. And then for fast food, we did get fast food a lot more than normal. The difference between how I like to get like the eating out budget is restaurants is if you go out and sit down somewhere. If I'm sitting down at Olive Garden, it's restaurants and bars. If I'm ordering Olive Garden to the house, it's fast food. That's how I like to keep it, just so I know kind of what we're ordering, door dashing, or grabbing on the way home versus what we're actually enjoying as a sit-down restaurant. And then the normal phone bill subscriptions came out. We actually lowered the subscriptions from a few months ago it was like 100 and some change. So we ended up canceling one of our subscriptions and knocked it down to 93. Here's the travel and vacation fund I was telling you about. So we had it rolled over from previous months. And this is where you see the rollover from last month was $2,395, and we allocated originally $1,000 for the budget, and we ended up going to Disneyland and doing a whole bunch more stuff while we were out in California. So I ended up adding another $1,000 to this budget just to give us a buffer and have some carryover, because while we were on vacation, we're already kind of trying to pre-plan any future vacations we want to take for the year, just kind of based on how we're feeling, some things that we have done that we don't really want to do again. So try something new. So I ended up adding $2,000 here. So we have $686 going into January. We can even kick that up a notch. I can add $1,000 in here just in case. And Monarch Money tends to apply, certain changes to future months in case they change. It says, hey, we can make this change moving forward. I don't like doing that on some cases because I don't plan on putting $3,000 a month into this travel fund. But since we have extra in the budget so far, as we see in the top right-hand corner, I'll just go ahead and put it for this month. So you have $1,686 going into January of 2026. Gifts, we ended up using a lot of just extra cash. So we ended up giving a lot of cash and gift cards and stuff to people. So 266 was probably just like a few minor gifts that we ended up, some like knickknacks that we gave to people. Children lunch money, that happens pretty much every month. Shopping, I usually try to budget $100 to go shopping for myself, and I just never do. So it always usually ends up at zero. But I always start out with like $100 going into the following year. It just usually gets erased whenever we do these budget videos. Education expense, I am a licensed financial coach, a certified financial coach, and a licensed real estate agent. So we do have some continuing ed we have to keep up with. So I have $204 there. Health and wellness, medical. So this year has been a year for medical and dental expense. It's been a couple of our larger expenses recently. Knowing that we may have some medical expenses coming up in the spring, just because we've had some large expenses, I want to plan for them and just have this as a buffer, kind of add it to the emergency fund. So I went ahead and put $500 here. Sometimes we do $1,000, sometimes we do $500, just be able to rack up this rollover fund. Going into January, we'll have $2,278 moving over. Dentist, our oldest son, will need some dental work. So we're planning on that. That's why you see $2,500 here. We already had $1,674 charged just this month to kind of get the ball rolling. And then going into January, possibly February, we'll see this expense kick up. So I want to have a little bit of a buffer as we roll into the future months. Then haircuts, the boys and I get haircuts almost every week, every other week. So that's here. And then dental insurance. Normal insurance costs $14, easy capital investment. We didn't have to put any money into the businesses for marketing. And then the two goals down here. Monarch Money does goals really neat, not always the best when it comes to pulling money out. So if you have like an emergency fund and then you have to pull it out, it seems it as like a really big negative thing. Emergency funds are there for a reason. So how I view them is you may have $10,000 set aside or 6 months of your expenses set aside. And if something comes up, it's exactly what it's used for. It's just a treasure chest. You put all your money in while you're still investing. So that way, in case something pops up and you have your money locked in investments, that's okay. You can pull it out, use it to it. The next month or whatever money is left over that month, then transfers over and fills that emergency fund back up. Perfectly fine. Like I just don't like how it does it here. So I tend to use rollover funds rather than goals for emergency funds and stuff. That way I can kind of control which category I'm putting them towards, and then you can always change them later. You can always pull from other categories. So you'll see the savings down here is $3,100 because we're doing the $100 day challenge and there's 31 days in December. So we have $3,100 here. And then for the retirement, we have $7,000 because we did our backdoor Roth IRA conversion. If you don't know what that is, once you make over a certain amount, you can't really put money directly into a Roth IRA. Kind of a silly rule. There is a workaround that you have to move it into a traditional IRA first and then move it into a Roth IRA. And then there's some tax paperwork you give your CPA and that your brokerage will usually give you for the taxes for the following year. So we went ahead and did that here. And so we had $7,000 listed. Since we have $7,583 left over, let's go down and see if we can find any categories where we could put that buffer in. So housing expense, home insurance, we kind of know where that's going to be. I like where that's at. Home improvement is $1,600. I like where that's at. I'm already kind of planning on a few things that we know could be getting to the end of its lifespan. So maybe next month or the following we'll add into this. But as of right now, I like the kind of momentum as which it's growing. Pest control will be the same. Auto insurance, still planning that's okay. That might increase, but I'm pretty comfortable where it's at. Auto maintenance, pretty good right now. Vehicle registrations, we know those are coming up. So that's actually sitting pretty well. Travel and vacation, $1,686 rolling over. That's pretty good. So I like where this is at. So what we are going to do, even for medical and dental here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this $7,583 and stick it into retirement. And you'll see the difference here, and this zeroes out. This is what's called a zero-based budgeting method. There's other apps like You Need a Budget or YNAB, and then a few others that do like Every Dollar from Dave Ramsey's team. They use a zero-based budgeting method, whereas every dollar comes in, you can give it a job. I like that, but I want to plan kind of as the money comes in. If I decide to save a bit to the side in a savings account, because I know of something coming up 3-4 months from now, and I just don't want to invest it. I need it fairly liquid in case it comes sooner. I use it. So I like Monarch for this. It is really easy just to kind of zero it out. And so now everything is zeroed for December, and it'll move in. So I'll make that transfer. You know what? We'll go ahead and make it now into Fidelity. Okay, so right here, as we're logged in, we're inside of our brokerage account. We're going to hit transact, transfer from our bank account to the individual brokerage account, and it's $7,583. Hit review. And all done. Okay, and that transfer is done. So now we are completely zeroed out. Once that transfer comes and registers into Monarch, I'll just put it back here so that'll actually show, and this won't be blue anymore. So let's go through January's budget. So paychecks, we kind of know what they're going to be, so we'll do that. 2,069, looks like we've already got our paycheck for the first. Interest, just from savings, high yield savings accounts, anything that we have left over there that's not already in the brokerage account is $19. Business income, 4,428. So yet again, a percentage of the revenue. Since we've gotten our P&L, looked at the total revenue that came in for 2025, we went ahead and increased this just a little bit. That way we're not running low, and we still keep enough operating cash inside the business. So we still may take some type of cash injection from the business to the personal side if we end up running a little high. So mortgage, 2,142, that's already hit. I know they take that one pretty quick. Home insurance, $300. We're sitting at 1,900. Gas and electric, we'll budget 250. Might be around there. I mean, last month was like $220, so it'll be around there. Water, 160. I like it. Home improvement, 100. I'm gonna increase this to 250. Not for the rest of the year yet. Actually, you know what? Let's put that into the rest of the year, just in case. At least in the next few months, it'll start to build up, and then we can lower it back down. Pest control, $67. So this will actually come out. We'll see how that ends up. Auto insurance, $200 sounds about right. We'll have 850 rolling over. Auto maintenance, if nothing happens, knock on wood, we'll have $1,041 rolling over to February. Vehicle registrations, I like where they're sitting. We did have to register a small little trailer, so you see the expense that's here. Car wash, we'll probably get at least one car wash since we're getting back from vacation. I want to go ahead and wash my wife's car out there. Groceries, we'll go ahead and increase this budget back to 700. With restaurants, I want to start taking more date nights, so we'll leave this at 400. So maybe I could take my wife out on a Friday or a Saturday. And then fast food, I want to try lowering this back down, so we're going to get back down to 250, and I'm going to try to get that even down further. Phone bill, we know where that's going to be. Subscriptions are usually the same. It's around $93. Travel and vacation, I went ahead and put this back to 1,000, so you'll see that we have, yep, that's increased. So since I changed the previous month in December, when you go to the following month, sometimes you have to click this button for it to recalculate. So we have 1,000 here. It added over to that 1,600 and some change that we had, or 1,786 that we had coming over from December. So that's increased already to $2,786. Gifts, I try to leave $100 here in case there's a birthday or something I may have forgotten. So I always leave $100 in there. I'm the type of person that usually gets shocked if I'm not doing the same thing every day. So when my wife's telling me, hey, what do you want to do for this birthday next week? Totally catches me by surprise. So at least it's budgeted here, and I'm not like moving everything over to investments and then get told. So it's $100 here. Children's lunch money, same thing. Probably have to put more money in their accounts. Medical, put 500. Dental for my son, we'll put 500 just to kind of keep that a little higher. Haircuts, 150. You know what? We can probably increase that to 175 because it's been hitting there. And then dental insurance, 145. We know that'll come out. Regular insurance. It does say we have negative $6 down here. That was for postage that we ended up paying for. So there we go. That's all taken into effect now. And then you collapse all those stuff that we don't use to clean it up. And as of right now, we'll still 31 days in January, I think. So we'll put 3,100 here. If not, I'll lower back down. 3,100 here. And then as we go through that savings challenge, we'll see this increase. And then if we want to stick anything into our retirement accounts, I'll go ahead and we'll say out of this budget that we've already allocated, I'll put 1,000. And that way we'll see this jump down to $163 left to budget. And as money comes in, I think the income will be a little higher. So I know we're already ahead for paychecks wise. So if this comes in a little higher, we'll have room left in the budget. But that way we've allocated retirements to put money for the future. And then we've already allocated our savings account as well for that car that we're hopefully going to be buying in like a month and a half. Okay, so now that we have our month budget for January 2026 all set, I want to show you a few goals that we have set up for the rest of the year for 2026, kind of a 2026 financial reset, if you will. So we're going to share this tab. This is something I drew up yesterday. Okay, so I want to show you this tab. This is something I just randomly went over yesterday as we were pulling things together. I'll actually change this because since we changed our budget, this will actually change. So net income, I would like to have $150,000 net income for our family take home. That is after taxes, especially with businesses, you have higher taxes unless you get all your deductions. So I want 150 take home pay since that's what matters. That's what feeds the family, takes them on vacation anyway. And then the major expenses, housing, we know that's around 2,142. And then we have the home insurance, we have the home maintenance funds. So I'm going to go ahead and allocate around 35,000 for the whole year. The average is just under 3,000 a month. So I think that should be fine, especially since we already have these rollovers, which is part of the insurance, part of the home maintenance fund, which I've allocated here. So left over to save for the whole year is 31,702, which is around 21% of the net income that we want to bring back. So we'd like to see housing stay under 25 would be amazing. 30 is a great place to be. So being that this is 21, I like it. We just need to make sure that we hit our income goal. For cars, since we're buying that new car, we have a large expense here. Otherwise, it would be much lower. So I allocated $30,000 for cash to go ahead and purchase that car in case tax, titles, license, maintenance, all that fun stuff, as well as the trading in her current car for the new one, whatever that may be. So as of right now, we have $2,041 rolling over, home maintenance fund, auto insurance, registrations. So what we'll have left to save is $27,959, 18.64%. If you are not buying a new car, I'd like to see this less than 10, preferably. That way it's manageable. Cars are the wealth killer of America right now. I mean, the average car payment's over $700 per person. So people are spending $1,400 a month in car payments for the next 6-7 years. That is crazy. I think that's going to break. I think it has to change it somehow, however that is going to be in the future. But cars are where wealth is killed. And I know when we had car payments, we couldn't invest as much, which we'll cover later in the goals. So now that those are paid off, it is much, much easier. That way we could set money up. I just see things moving over so smooth. And you've seen every month, we have so much left over. We don't have car payments. So we do have actually quite a bit. Groceries, I want to go ahead and allocate $8,000. This may go up. I'm actually trying to cut back on the amount of expenditure that we have here, just so that we, can better plan meals at home, less eating out, and just get, a few simpler options, because we usually end up throwing out a little bit. So I want to try to cut that back, which nothing left over. So $8,000, roughly around 5.33%. Eating out, $5,000. This is actually a little lower than last year. I think we came in at like $6,000. So $5,000, I want to start eating out less, more taking my wife and kids out on little play dates or, dates with my wife, rather than just, out of laziness, ordering food home. So I want to change that, allocate $5,000 to eating out in general, with less fast food, more restaurants. That's 3.33%. Travel, we've already kind of planned where we want to be as we move it over. And we actually changed this. We'll say 1,686. So this part is something that I really want to continue doing. Every time we go on vacations, we don't do big birthdays anymore. We don't do big Christmases anymore. The kids will get a little bit of toys here and there, and they always usually take them on vacation so they can enjoy them. But we have taken a lot of vacations in the last few years, and the amount of bonding time that we get with our kids is so memorable. Probably mostly for us parents, since one of them's only 6, but our 13-year-old still looks back, and we asked him while we were out on vacation, hey, what was the favorite place that you've gone to this year between West Virginia, Utah, Idaho, Montana, or Southern California? And of course, he said Southern California's weather cannot be beat, but second best taken out weather is Utah. He really liked it there. So now that we kind of know that maybe if we go and travel someplace, or we want to take a 1-week vacation somewhere that we've been that we want to enjoy again, we know that he likes that. So I'm going to keep putting a good amount of money here. So $10,000 here. We have that $1,686 we rolled over, which means we only need to save $8,314, which is 5.54% of this net income we're trying to hit. Something that I like to see. This may increase. We don't know. So we'll see as the year goes. Recreation. This is things like taking my kids out to, Dave & Buster's or some other arcade, or going with them to the movie theater. I want to allocate more money here. I feel like we really prioritize vacations, but when it comes back to the day-to-day, we really don't leave the house. So I want to change that. I want to allocate a few $100s every month to going and seeing a movie or doing something fun. And then gifts, yet again, as you've seen in the videos, gifts are something that I personally don't do well. They always sneak up on me. So we're going to go ahead and allocate a little bit of money here kind of throughout the year. That way they don't sneak up. So $5,000 ends up being only a little over 3%. Phone bills, I'm actually going to take over most of the family's phone bills, just kind of make it a little easier on my wife and cover that. So $1,680 is what I've allocated. I think it's like $140 something a month. This may increase by like a few pennies or cents. But otherwise, this is where it should be, which is only 1%. Subscriptions, yet again, something we're trying to cut down. I put $1,200 here, which is $100 a month. We know it comes in at $93. I don't know if it'll increase or decrease. I'm sure this will actually come in and under $1,200. Medical and dental, as you've seen in the December budget, this is something we're currently just dealing with now. My youngest son tends to deal with croup every winter, so we know we'll get bills for that. And then my oldest is going through some dental work. So we know this is going to be a fairly hefty expense. So I've allocated $15,000 here. And then we've had that $4,384 rollover from the December budget. So I need to save $10,616 between now and the end of the year, or 7.08% of the budget. And then the fun part. So this is where saving and investing comes in. You'll see this number, $7,583. This is what was left over that we brought into and just transferred into Fidelity from December, from just 1 month. I want to keep this up. I don't want to standardize it just yet because we do have a dollar cost average that we put into the brokerage account, especially with our $100 day savings challenge. Once that's done, we'll probably do an investing challenge of some type. So I do want to allocate monthly, but I'll at least get it kicked off with $7,583. I think you'll see this weird number, $45,529. That is what's left over in the budget. So if we take $150,000 and we subtract all of the expenses minus the rollovers, we get $45,529, which added with that 7583 comes out to 35.41%. If you're saving 25 to 30% of your budget, either saving or investing or debt pay down, that is amazing. If you can get over 30%, 40%, especially if you're trying to pay down high interest debt, that is astounding. I wish I would have started earlier. This gives you so much breathing room. If you stick a couple $100, $1,000 into a high yield savings account, a little bit into a Roth IRA, this will set you up so much better for the following year and in your future. Because if you're able to max out your Roth IRA from 20 years old all the way to 65, you don't really need to put in much else. And that's just kind of the minimum contributions. So we personally didn't start investing until much later into our 30s. So we're going to stack money in this as fast as possible so that it can get that compound interest. It can get that greater growth earlier on. So as the years go by, we can contribute less and less if we want, and actually start enjoying life more in our 40s and 50s and taking care of the grandkids when they come. That's something that we just want to prioritize. So all the hard work that we're doing now, the grinding that we're doing now, we're going to put in a place that will take care of us later. So that's why this number is so high. I would prefer to lower these as low as possible to increase this. In the perfect world, we'll kind of see how things shake out. I know travel, my wife and I like to travel. My kids, they more or less enjoy it. But that's something that's kind of a non-negotiable right now because I know we're going to look back on all the memories we had. I think it's more for us parents. But it's good, that they, I could talk to them about it and they really enjoy it and get those life experiences earlier on so they can kind of judge maybe where they want to go to college might be different, all based on maybe, a vacation that we took when they were little. So I think that'd be pretty cool. So that's the financial reset plan for 2026. Increase our net take-home pay so that we can hit all these different numbers. And then this $45,500, that could be lower. It's okay. It's just a savings and investing goal. We're going to try to hit, aim high, and we'll see if that ends up shaking out in the future months. So subscribe and follow along because we're going to be doing these every month to kind of give you an update on how January goes, February goes, into the rest of the year. So that wraps up our December 2025 budget and officially closes the books on this year. And if there's one thing I hope this video shows you, it's this. You don't need a perfect year to make meaningful financial progress. Some of our categories went exactly how we expected. Some didn't, and that's normal. What matters is that we have clear data to take into 2026 to make that plan. We know where our money actually went, what mattered most to us, and where we can tighten things up or reallocate with intent. For those of you following along with our $100 a day savings challenge, this is a perfect example of why budgeting matters. That daily habit only works because the rest of the budget supports it. The savings aren't accidental, and I'm not trying to just plan what's left over. Everything is tracked and adjusted as the year goes on. As we head into 2026, the goal isn't to restrict ourselves even more. The goal is to use our money for a purpose, saving more, stressing less, and making decisions today that our future selves will thank us for. If this video was helpful, make sure you're subscribed so you can see the progress as the year goes by. And if you want to start investing in 2026, you can check out this video next. I'll see you there.